We welcome you back inside the steam room, everybody. And look, if you've been listening to the steam room for any amount of time, if you're a loyal steamer, you know there's only one rule we have for our guests, and that's that we ask you that you keep your towel on, Spike Lee. Okay? Appreciate you.
I'm getting warmed up for right after we're done. I'm going to the world's most famous arena.
We got the happiest man in the city of New York, Spike Lee, with us, the Academy Award winner. The guy is getting ready to go watch the Knicks and the Spurs.
Oh,
Spike.
I got my beads too.
Oh, you got it all, man.
Beads, I'm ready. My orange G-Shock and my Versailles orange and blue beads. I'm ready.
So I would ask you what it feels like to have the Knicks back in the playoffs, but I don't think I feel like I need to ask you that, man.
Well, you ever see those movies where somebody's lost on the desert and their throat is parched, they're crawling, and then you don't know if it's fake or real, but it's Oasis. right in the middle of the desert.
Hey, you know, I listen, first of all, I'm happy for you. First of all, it's great for the NBA
right,
that the Knicks are doing good. I mean, we need New York. I always tell people, the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Celtics, we need them to be good for the NBA momentum. It's just great.
The major markets too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's this year been like? Well, first of all, let me ask you this. What were your expectations going into the season, and how do you feel now?
Well, I knew Coach Tibbs would come and do his thing, but this is beyond my expectations. We're in the playoffs. And also, what's amazing is that the effect that he has had on this team, I think one of the most overused words in sports is culture, in my opinion. But he has just put his stamp on this team. And they play, look, I'm old, so this looks like Red Holzman's teams. It looks like Pat Riley's team. You know, Mason Your Face, Oakley, X-Men, Patrick Ewing, John Starks. These guys played hard and physical and never took a night or day off. It's beautiful to see. You know, I was May 8th, 1970. I was at that game, the Willis Reed game. I was there. And in fact, I'm in my office now. I'm on the second floor. On my first floor, I had the net from that game.
How'd you get that?
I got it from the Red Holzman family.
Wow.
You know what's amazing about you, Spike? I've been in the NBA for 36 years. Mm-hmm. You know, and I tell people, I says, because, you know, when people are like, hey, how's Spike? I said, man, let me tell you something. One thing I love about that dude, he ride with them boys, ride or die. I said,
a long time.
I said, yo, man, he is a real fan. I mean, because all the success he's had in other ventures, he don't have to be a diehard fan, because there have been some desert times.
Lost in the desert.
But you've been there. So how long?
This is a horrid desert.
Hey,
and not Coney Island Beach either.
Yeah. How long have you had season tickets?
Great story. I got season tickets right after Patrick was the number one pick. Now, I don't want to say about no conspiracy. No, I'm not talking about that. You can't speak of people past. But Dave DeBusschere picked it out. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And in the envelope, not only the logo, but two season tickets for Spike Lee.
So at that, right after we got the pick, I went online at the Garden. I wasn't kidding. I wasn't sitting courtside from the beginning. if you guys, you remember not the old garden, not the old garden, but the one before this. There were different sections were colored. So I was in the green section. And every year a new movie would come out and I moved down because they didn't sell those tickets. But I got the word that they're going to stop giving them away and they're going to make a certain amount of tickets going to be season tickets. So I can't remember when I started sitting in the court, but my first season ticket year was Patrick Ewing's first year. And I was a Georgetown guy. I was at the sweater game, Louis Carter and rest his soul for our brother John Thompson. But I mean, the Big East back then, Syracuse, and Georgetown, and St. John's, and then met in the semifinals with Carnesecca, Chris Mullin, Walter Berry, Mark Jackson. I mean, they were rolling.
That's my first record. Well, two things: Magic against Bird. I think that's my first recollection of college basketball. But being even in high school and then going to Auburn, we couldn't wait to see the Big East. I mean, it was crazy watching those games. And first of all, you think about it, those guys are the same age as you, but they look like adult men playing basketball.
Especially Patrick. Patrick came to Georgetown looking way beyond his age.
When the St. John's, Syracuse, Georgetown, like when those teams played, like you had to be there. I mean, that's how great those games were back then.
Remember when the Pearl, what was his name? I'm forgotten.
Pearl Washington.
Yeah, remember him and Patrick got in the fight?
And you think about when Jim was up there, they played at that big old cavernous dome, and they'd have 40, 50,000 people. And man, it was so exciting to watch.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then obviously, when you go to Madison Square Garden, it's like the Holy Grail.
Hey, Spike, I got a question for you. I mean, when considering what the last 14 months have looked like in this world and in sports and in everything else, I mean, I see the excitement, obviously, that you carry right now. But part of that, it's like, man, we're back to this kind of a thing where on a Thursday afternoon, you can get pumped up about going to see a ball game tonight. I mean, how do you characterize what we've all been living through over the last 14 months?
Well, I don't think anyone has lived through this in their lifetime. If you go back to the last pandemic, I'm doing a 8-hour documentary for HBO about New York City during 9/11 and New York City during the COVID. New York City was the epicenter for COVID-19, and we keep a running count of how many Americans have died. We're over 500,000 Americans are no longer with us. Our sisters, brothers, fathers, relatives, friends. And in doing this research, doing a lot of research, it didn't have to be that way. So I think about the people who aren't here. Lucky for me, we've been blessed the least, knowing my immediate family has passed. And then there was a time where every day was a great musician or a rapper or people were dying left and right.
Yeah.
Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, Tom Seaver, Hank Aaron. I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like,
Spike, it was like every time you thought, okay, enough's enough. I can't take any more of this.
Yeah.
You wake up the next day and there's more news.
Yeah. And so I'm very hopeful now that more people are getting vaccinated. We're still going to have, black, brown, red, it doesn't matter race. There's still people who are fearful of getting the vaccine, and that's their right. But they put other people in jeopardy. When I'm on Instagram, and I posted getting my 2 shots, my 2 Pfizer shots on Instagram. Lord have mercy. Charles, tell Ernie about Black Twitter.
Oh, hey, man.
I'm telling you, my sisters and brothers were tearing me another, you know what? But yeah, I think I'm gonna be in the right side of history. I'm positive of that.
Well, number one, I told you earlier, man, I really love the PSA you did vaccinating the block. I thought it was really awesome. Yeah. And we need, Thank you know, and I think that number one.
Can I just say this real quick? Charles, let me jump in there. Because of then I got more, and it's connected to your question, Charles. Then when I did the ad for Uber is providing free rides. Free for anybody from their home, wherever they live, apartment, to a place where you get your vaccination. A lot of people can't get to the spots where you get the vaccination. Mm. And when I did that spot, on top of the 2 posts on my Instagram about me getting the shots, woo, Spike, you a sellout. You did Do the Right Thing. You did Malcolm X. You just making money. I did not take 1 red cent, 1 nickel for doing that.
Well, first of all, brother, I'm glad you did it. I tell all these people. So let me ask you this question, because I've heard it. I have no clue. How bad is New York right now, as far as stores and things like that? Because I heard it's like a ghost town.
No, that's not true. What's really on the front pages of New York City, and you know I love it, but I'm not going to front. There's been a really rise of shootings and killings.
Okay.
And I know for sure all this is not an excuse, but the pandemic, people are overlooking the mental state that pandemic has put on this nation, not just New York City. And there have been some very serious shooting and killings, enough so much that the mayoral candidates, because we got a new election coming up for mayor, have had to address the rise of violence on the streets of New York City.
Well, but the stores, everything's not closed down?
No. People, there are a lot of stores that, that out of business, but things are getting much better. And also, the weather's getting warm and people are out in the streets. And when it gets Do the Right Thing hot in New York City,
they're going to be out.
It's going to be, no pun intended, it's going to be fire. Just people will just be out in the sun with their friends and family. And a lot of the new phenomenon is where the restaurants have like booths on the sidewalk, like in the street by the curb. And that's really, people are out, and it's going to really.
I was up there the other day, Spike, and I saw a lot of that going on. I saw restaurants, and they were building places where you could accommodate folks and
on the sidewalk,
distance and that kind of thing. A lot of that going on up there.
Everybody's had to make an adjustment.
Obviously, we've seen over the last few March Madness seasons, you and Chuckster and Sam doing your thing, and Jim Nance as well. But you and Chuck go back a long way. So give me. If you were to be asked, as you are being asked right now, what's your favorite Charles Barkley story from hanging out with the Chuckster?
All right. This is not going to be a new story, but I love to tell it.
Please.
Barcelona. Hotel room. Charles, Magic, MJ, and me. I'm not playing cards. I'm just there. I wish I could have a camera there, because Charles, tell me that wasn't epic. They must have had, you had to probably be in the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning. I left at 6. Charles.
Chuck,
Remember that
Chuck,
night?
be forthcoming, Chuck. Here, come on now, back up the story.
We played cards every night, all night, and we would like get okay. So we're like, okay, guys, we got to play it, practice, or do something like we need at least a power nap in there. But we played cards every single night, Ernie. And another person who would come is Scotty, but me, Magic, and Michael and Scotty would play cards every single night. Like we'd go to dinner, we'd have dinner, then we'd gamble from like 8 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, and we'd run to the room and take a quick power nap and go to practice. I mean, it was crazy.
Let me ask you a question. Was I the only non-player ever allowed into that environment?
You were the only, I think you might be the only person that we ever allowed in there. I mean, because there was no other people were allowed in there, but you were the only person who was not part of the family. We made you an honorary brother then to come in and watch and have fun.
So I'm honored. I've always think about that. And the games, what were you playing?
Tunk.
The game is so competitive, and then throwing the cards on the table. And your mother this, your mother that. And I remember sometimes I just fell out of my chair and I was rolling around on the rug. It was hilarious. Hilarious.
It was amazing.
What kind of dollars were being played for back then, Chuckster?
Oh.
Serious money.
Yeah, you like hundreds of thousands of dollars already.
Every night
every night. It was a minimum of $100,000 a night, a minimum. I tell you what, the worst experience, because at some point you can get up because you lose it. The worst plane trip was like we were flying to Barcelona. Man, on an 8 to 10 hour flight, you can lose your house. I mean, it was crazy. I'm like, land the plane. I was like, because you get on a bad, because Michael's got this really annoying habit. He always try to just keep raising and bidding because he's got the most money. He was always trying to buy the pot. He didn't realize the rest of us had money too. We don't have his type of money. Well, Magic does. Me and Scotty were the paupers at the table. Me and Scotty could go broke actually, but Magic and Michael had a ton of money. But Michael always tried to buy the pot, which was hilarious. It was hilarious.
That's my story, Ernie. And I always, serious business, I will always treasure that night in Barcelona, being a witness, being like a part of it. I was, first of all, I would have been the poorest guy in there if I could have played.
Hey.
I had to make Malcolm X 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hey, it sounds like a good film. It sounds like that one night in Barcelona.
Yeah, it was fun.
Like,
and also, it's the dream team.
Let's talk about movies for a second.
Uh-huh.
Are you happy and sad? It doesn't matter. With now that we have so many services when you're making a movie, like it used to be, you made a movie and you sent it to the theater.
Right.
Now you got every streaming service. You got HBO Max. You got Prime. Is that good or bad for your profession?
I think it's good. And the reason why that is more places to get your film made, because back in the day, Paramount, Universal, Warner Brothers, some, Disney, and if they didn't want to do it, you're out. The Five Bloods would not have been made without Netflix. Every other studio turned it down. So it's much better for filmmakers to have more than one place to try to get your film made.
But it's going to be a lot more competitive to get your product showed, though, correct?
No, because you have more places to go to. Because when they say no, they're not making it. So, it's more choices to go to.
are we ever going to be back to going to the movies like we used to do?
Yes, it's going to take. It's going to take time. Same thing. Big thing here in New York. Broadway. Broadway It depends upon tourists. If tourists, I'm not talking about the people driving over from New Jersey. I mean,
Those are not tourists.
What,
they are.
Spike, what's the most disappointed you have been when it comes to Oscar nominations?
All right, easy. Do the right thing. You got to ask them what film won.
What film won?
Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
Let me give my second one. That Denzel did not win an Oscar for Malcolm X.
See, that to me.
That besides Denzel and his lovely wife Pauletta, and maybe the kids, that hurt me. That still hurts me.
Yeah, I actually thought that's one of the best acting jobs I'd ever seen.
Mm.
I actually watched it recently, as a matter of fact. I mean, you can never, but my man says, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on me. I was like that, and first of all, you were good in that movie too.
I got a basketball thing because I have to be respectful. Al Pacino is one of the greatest actors ever. He didn't win for Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, and I'm missing one film. He's been like nominated 5-6 times and never won. Then he did Scent of a Woman, and that was like a makeup call, NBA makeup call. And then Denzel got it for Trading Day. So, it's great performance, but that's the way some of the voting has been throughout the years.
There was the controversy this year with Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
And everybody assumed because they made it the last award that he was going to win. And then Anthony Hopkins won. That was kind of a shock.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know why whoever made that choice that they thought that Chadwick would win was a lock. There's never been an Academy Award in the history of Academy Awards. Best Picture has always been the end of the show. They messed up and they made Best Actor, Best Male Actor in leading role. And when it wasn't Chadwick, all due respect to Anthony Hopkins, great actor, he didn't think he was going to win. He went to bed. Well, of course, it's 4 a.m. there, but again, it comes to sports. You're doing an end zone dance before. How many times have you seen a game? And all you guys love football, where a guy's high stepping, thinks to get an end zone. What happens?
Drops the ball
or gets tackled.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky I don't bet, because I would have bet the house he was going to win.
Hey, Spike, how much did you know about what Chadwick was going through when you were?
I didn't know anything.
Isn't that remarkable that a guy could be at that stage? And
Ryan didn't know. No one knew.
Wow.
And here's what I like to give love to Chadwick. He knew his illness was terminal, but he was a pro. And he did not want any director to treat him differently. In the opening battle sequence of the Five Bloods, they had to run one spot to another. He was doing 100-yard dashes, hauling ass with equipment, everything. And he knew if I had known that, I would never ask him to do that. Chadwick did not want to be treated differently. Ultimate professional.
Yep.
So listen, because man, I love you guys like brothers, and you guys are so awesome together. Tell me about you and Sam's relationship.
Sam is his connection with Capital One Him asking me part of it is a gift. I think we can all agree on this. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Because Spike, let me tell you something. Every year, first one like 3 or 4 years ago, we won the Clio for like the best commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never felt pressure like I do when we go to Capital One, because every year I say to myself, we can't do better than last year.
You're right. I'm looking at the scripts. I'm like, I was like, let's go.
Hey,
But think about it though. Sam is what anchors, like the great player on a team. Sam was the anchor, and we all do our things.
Yeah. But
and with our guests, great guests too,
Hey, but tell them how fun it is when Sam said, "Who wrote this shit?"
We sure appreciate you taking a chunk out of your day, man. We really do.
Anytime.
I gotta ask him.
Appreciate you keeping your towel on too.
Hey, I gotta ask him one question.
Yeah,
because this is a biggie. You guys have to win a playoff series for this season to be successful, though, correct?
No.
What?
We haven't made the playoffs in 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Charles, the pieces are in place. We have 5 first-round picks the next 2 years. We have more cap space than any team in the National Basketball Association. And players who never thought of coming to the Knicks back in the day, they will come. And nobody can fit in Brooklyn already. Brooklyn ain't got no more room.
But Spike, we just disagree, man. Y'all had an unbelievable season. You got the coach of the year between him and Monty Williams. You got the runaway most improved in Julius.
Uh-huh.
But I think
Julius is balling.
He is. But I'm telling you, you got to win a series to finish it off.
Hey, get to the world's most famous arena. Enjoy watching your Knicks take on the Spurs.
Hey, brother, I love you, man. Thank you.
Love you too, Ernie.
Great. Love you too, Spike. Thanks, man.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.